Hello everyone, I am the storyteller and I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before that, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Also, where are you from and what time are you watching? Now get comfortable and relax. The fog met Mara on the platform as if it had been waiting just for her. It slithered in thin tendrils around her ankles as she stepped off the train, the last one that would pass through the village until spring. The conductor didn't meet her eyes as he took her ticket, and she noticed, with a creeping unease, that she was the only passenger who had disembarked. The train hissed, coughed, and slid away into the mist, leaving her alone at the edge of the platform, her suitcase in hand. "Bit early for the fog," a low voice said. Mara turned to find a man standing near the single gas lamp by the station's exit. He wore a wool coat too heavy for the mild October chill, and his face was obscured by the shadow of his cab. "It's supposed to be autumn," she replied, trying to smile. "In this place," the man said slowly, "the seasons don't much care what they're supposed to be." Before Mara could answer, he turned and walked away into the thickening fog, leaving only the sound of crunching gravel and the soft clink of a pocket lantern swaying at his side. She shivered, more from unease than cold. Her driver, a stooped man with yellowed eyes and too many scarves, was waiting by a car that looked like it hadn't moved in decades. The headlights flickered to life only after she climbed in, and even then, they cast more shadow than light. "No luggage?" he asked, glancing in the rearview mirror without really looking at her. "Just this," Mara said, lifting her suitcase into her lap. "Writer?" he grunted, eyes back on the road. "That's what they usually are." She blinked. "They?" But he didn't respond. He only hummed lowly to himself, a tune with no melody, something that sounded more like a breath caught in a throat. The village revealed itself in pieces through the fog. Cobbled streets. Timbers leaning like tired bones. No lights, not even in the windows. A silence that seemed too thick, like wool packed into the ears. Then, the cottage. It stood alone on a low hill, just at the edge of the wood. Small, with crooked shutters and a chimney that leaned eastward as if caught mid-bow. But the strangest thing, stranger even than the way it seemed to glow faintly in the fog, was the lamp outside the front door. It was lit. And Mara hadn't arrived yet. The car left without a word. Not even the sound of tires crunching gravel remained, just fog curling where the exhaust had been. Mara stood before the gate, iron and cold and bent in the middle, her fingers brushing the latch hesitantly. No one had mentioned the lamp. Its glow was not electric, too warm, too alive. It flickered as if it breathed. She stepped closer. Under her boots, the path crunched with frost that hadn't been there a moment before. Her breath fogged in the air, though the evening had been mild back at the station. A note was pinned to the door with a rusted tack. The paper, yellowed and soft at the corners, read in looping cursive. "Key under the stone. Mind the floorboards. Some don't like to be stepped on." She almost laughed. Almost. But something in her chest tightened. She stepped off the porch and knelt at the flat stone near the threshold. Beneath it lay a brass key and the curled remains of something long dead, a bird, maybe. Its beak still parted in a silent cry. Inside, the cottage felt watched. It was tidy, mostly. Dust lay in places the wind never reached, but there were no cobwebs, no rot. The furniture was old but solid. The fireplace was black with soot but swept clean. Someone had cared for it, once. She set her suitcase beside the armchair and found the matches on the windowsill, as promised in the listing. One had been struck already, its head blackened. She picked it up absently. The wind shifted outside. There was a click. She froze. The lamp outside brightened. The door eased open behind her, though she had locked it. Very slowly, she turned to face it. Nothing there. Only the fog, thicker now, pressing in like a hand against the glass. And then, a sound. Very faint, very soft. A whisper of steps, across the boards above her. She hadn't noticed a staircase. The stairs were hidden behind a narrow door at the end of the hall, almost disguised as part of the paneling. When she opened it, dust scattered from the frame like startled birds. The steps beyond were steep and narrow, meant for feet smaller than hers. She hesitated. Logic whispered, an animal, maybe. Wind. Settling beams. But curiosity always shouted louder in her head. She climbed. Each step creaked, not from weight, but from age. As though they hadn't been touched in years. At the top, the air changed. It was colder, somehow thinner. The attic stretched low and wide, with beams that curved like ribs overhead. In the center was a chair. Not an old chair. A hospital chair. Metal-legged. Sturdy. A leather strap still dangled from one armrest. Mara stepped closer. A journal sat on the floor beside it, its leather cover scratched with a name. A. Varnell. She opened it carefully. The first page was blank, but the next had a single line. He doesn't like the dark, but don't ever leave the light on too long. Something thumped below. A heavy sound. Like someone had dropped their weight just behind the front door. She dropped the journal. It landed spine up. From below, the lamp flickered again. Mara descended the attic stairs slowly, heart thudding in time with each creak. The journal felt heavy in her hand, though it couldn't have weighed more. At the bottom, the cottage felt quieter than before. Too quiet. The kind of silence that felt like something holding its breath. She crossed the hall to the front door and touched the lock. It was still bolted. Yet it had opened. She was sure of it. The doorknob felt warm to the touch, faintly pulsing like something recently held. She looked out the window. The fog was so thick now that she could barely see the lamp at all. Its glow was a sickly orange blur. Then, movement. A shape. Someone, or something, stood just beyond the reach of the light, barely visible through the curtain of mist. It didn't move, but it was unmistakably there. Tall, still, not quite human in posture. Its head was tilted at an odd angle, like a broken puppet. She stepped back instinctively. Her heel hit something behind her. The armchair had moved. It was now facing the window. The journal in her hand trembled. She opened it again. He sees when you look too long. She shuddered and backed away. Her hands found the mantelpiece and grasped a heavy iron poker. Not that she truly believed a weapon would help, but fear made her feel foolish and foolishness demanded action. She turned all the lights on, one after another. The kitchen. The hall. The upstairs landing. Every room glowed warm and yellow. The lamp outside stayed lit, but the figure was gone. Mara sat at the kitchen table with the journal open in front of her. The ink was faded, but legible, written in looping script that slanted as though the writer had been in a hurry. Many entries were scratched out violently, the pen having torn through the paper. October 13th. I heard him again in the walls. I tried the salt, but it doesn't stay. It drips down like sweat. October 17th. The light helps. He stays away from it, for now. But I think it feeds him too. The longer it burns, the closer he gets. October 22nd. I made a mistake. I slept with the lamp lit. He stood beside me when I woke up. Didn't move. Just watched. October 2nd. Mara turned the page quickly, fingers trembling. October 25th. I tried to leave. I made it as far as the gate. The fog twisted. I swear it moved on purpose. October 26th. If anyone reads this, don't trust the light. Don't trust the fog. And for God's sake, don't listen to him when he speaks. He lies like wind in the trees. The final page was torn out. Thunder cracked overhead, sharp, sudden. The lights flickered. Then they went out. The lamp outside flared brighter. Mara sat frozen in the pitch black, the journal clutched against her chest. The silence after the thunder was suffocating. No wind. No hum of electricity. Not even the creak of the walls. Just darkness, deep and watchful. She fumbled for the matchbook on the windowsill. A scrape. A spark. The tiny flame leapt to life, illuminating only her trembling hand. She lit one of the tall candles she'd brought. It hissed faintly as it caught. Light filled the room, stretching shadows out like long arms. The flicker made the corners of the room dance, as if something shifted just out of sight. Then, a whisper. Mara. Her name. A voice, not one she recognized. Deep. Male. Close. She whirled toward the sound, the candle flaring with her movement. No one was there. Mara, it said again. Softer now. Don't be afraid. But she was. She tried the front door. Locked. Bolted. She hadn't touched it. She checked the windows. All latched. The fog beyond pressed like wet cotton against the panes, blurring the outside world to nothing. Then, from upstairs, a dragging sound. Not footsteps. A pull. A shuffle. Like someone crawling. She took the candle and crept up. The attic door was ajar. Mara, the voice whispered, right behind her. She turned so fast that wax filled over her hand, scalding her skin. She dropped the candle. and it extinguished on the stair runner. Now, only darkness. "Mara," the voice said again, clearer this time. "I see you." Her breath caught. Her foot found the last step. She was in the attic, or nearly. The light from outside, the ever-burning lamp, cast a dull glow through the slit window. It barely reached the middle of the room. The hospital chair still sat where she'd left it. But now, someone sat in it. The shape was indistinct, more shadow than person. But it breathed. She could hear it, wet, rasping breaths. And then it moved. "Go back downstairs," the shape said, voice like branches breaking. "You aren't ready to see me." Mara's voice failed. She wanted to scream, or run, or curse, but her limbs locked in place. She stumbled backward, half falling down the steps. She hit the floor hard, candle rolling from her hand. Downstairs, the light snapped back on. Everyone. The lamp outside flared so bright it turned the fog orange. In its glow, just outside the window, stood the man from the station platform. Only now, she saw his eyes. They weren't human. She barred every door. Checked every lock. She turned on every lamp and placed candles on windowsills. Anything to stave off the darkness, or what was in it. The man outside didn't move. He watched, motionless, the glow of the lamplight warping his shape. In the journal's final pages, Mara found a list. Rules of the cottage. Never stay in the dark for more than a breath. Never leave a light burning overnight. Do not speak to him when he appears. If you hear the attic move, do not investigate. If the fog knocks, do not answer. Underneath, a sixth rule had been scratched out entirely, so violently it tore through several pages. She didn't sleep that night. Every time her eyes began to close, the lamp outside flared. Every hour, the man stepped closer to the window. By morning, he was gone. But the lamp still burned. Morning brought no sun. The fog remained thick, though the village beyond the hill emerged slightly. Mara decided to go into town. Maybe someone knew about the cottage, the lamplighter, or Avarnal. The path to the village curved past the woods. The trees loomed too tall, too thin. As if they'd grown to escape something beneath them. She kept her eyes forward. But the wind shifted again, and she heard it. Her name. In the trees. "Mara." She stopped, heart pounding. It was a child's voice this time. Lighter. Pleading. She looked, just once. A girl stood among the trees, barefoot, in a white nightgown stained with mud. "Mara, help me," the girl whispered. Mara took a step forward before the rules echoed in her mind. Don't listen. Don't look. Don't answer. She ran the rest of the way to the village. The village was stranger in daylight. Shutters were closed. Doors locked. Even the church was boarded up. She knocked at a bakery, a post office, a pub, no answer. At last, an old woman opened her door. She stared at Mara with cloudy eyes. "The cottage?" the woman rasped. "He's got you too, then?" "Who?" Mara asked. But the woman only shook her head. "We don't say his name. Not here. Not anymore." She closed the door. Another voice called to her, a man this time, behind the general store. He handed her a folded note. "Burn the journal. Leave the lamp unlit for one full night. If he comes, don't speak. Don't run. Just listen. That's the only way to know what he wants." Mara looked up. But the man was already gone. Back at the cottage, she considered burning the journal. But something told her it wasn't finished with her yet. That night, she left the lamp outside unlit. And the fog came thicker. She watched from the window as it moved, not drifted, not floated, but moved, with intent. It pressed against the glass like a creature testing its cage. At midnight, the mirror in the hallway cracked. Not shattered. Cracked. And something looked back at her from the other side. It had her face. But not her eyes. The journal's back cover had something hidden in its binding, a second name, scratched into the leather with a needle. Avarnal. Eliza. She returned to the attic. This time, she didn't go alone. She brought salt. Matches. The poker. The chair was empty again. But on the floor was a second journal, smaller. Childlike. Inside were drawings. Crude ones. Stick figures. A tall shape with no eyes. Always near a lamp. One page had a phrase written over and over. "He comes when the light forgets." On the last page, If you know his name, he will ask for yours. The fog knocked that night. 3 sharp taps against the window pane. Then again, on the back door. Then on the walls. Every side. Every surface. Tap. 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 Her name, again and again. Mara. Mara, open the door. She sat on the floor, surrounded by lit candles, fingers clutching the journal like a holy book. Then the whisper shifted. It wasn't calling her name. It was asking her a question. Tell me your name. Something inside her wanted to answer. She nearly did. Her lips parted. Then she remembered the 5th rule. If the fog knocks, do not answer. She pressed her hands over her ears. The knocking stopped. But the lamp outside lit again, without her touching it. And beside it stood a shape with no face, holding her suitcase. The figure stood beside the lamp, faceless and unmoving, with Mara's suitcase held like an offering. It shouldn't have been outside. She'd left it in the cottage, in the living room, beside the chair. She tried the front door again. Still bolted. Still locked. And yet, outside, the figure tilted its head. Then it pointed, first at the suitcase, then at the cottage. Then down. Down? Beneath the lamp, the earth darkened. A circle, faint, like soot or ash. It spread slowly outward. A burn mark. She watched as the figure crouched beside it, placed the suitcase in the center, and vanished. Not walked away. Not faded. Vanished. The suitcase remained. She found it on her bed that night. She didn't open the suitcase right away. It pulsed with cold, like a block of ice wrapped in canvas. Instead, she took it to the attic and placed it beside the chair. Then she sat in the dust, lit only by the candle she dared not let go out. Inside the suitcase, there were no clothes. No toiletries. Only papers, letters. All addressed to someone named Mother. Dearest Mother, he is real. I've seen him. He comes when the lamps burn too long, when the rules break. I'm sorry I left you. I only wanted to know. I should not have stayed here alone. I think he is learning me. Page after page. The same hand. Each letter more frantic. He knows my name now. That was the last rule. Don't let him learn yours. The final letter was written in a child's hand. He wears faces. He has mine now. I'm sorry. Downstairs, the floor creaked again. Not softly. Not like before. This time it cracked. A deep, splintering sound. She rushed to the parlor, candle high. One of the floorboards had broken clean through. Below it, blackness. And something moving. She crouched, heart pounding, and looked down. At first she saw only the soil. Then, eyes. 2 of them, staring back. Unblinking. Lidless. They blinked. She dropped the candle. It fell through the hole. And landed on something wet. The eyes didn't move. But now a smile appeared, curling up like smoke from the earth. She covered the hole and fled upstairs, barricading the attic door with the hospital chair. Sleep was impossible. Only waiting. The fog never lifted that day. She watched from the windows as shapes passed in and out of the trees, tall ones, thin ones, hunched ones dragging themselves across the ground. They never came close, never entered the lamp's glow. But they watched. At dusk, a face appeared in the window. Her own. Then another, behind it, Eliza's. Hollowed. Weeping. Then others. Dozens. All of them her. She returned to the journal, flipping to the torn page near the end, the one where rule number 6 had been erased. She turned the paper to the light. The scratch marks were deep, but the indentations still faintly visible. She shaded them with pencil. The missing words emerged. 6. If he offers you yourself, refuse. A scream came from the cellar. Not her voice. But it spoke her words. She opened the attic trapdoor. Descended slowly, candle in one hand, poker in the other. The cellar was blacker than black. Not even the lamp outside could pierce it. She stepped down. Each stair groaned beneath her weight. The air was thick. Wet. Breathing. Something moved ahead. Then she heard her voice. Mara, it whispered. It's me. Her face glowed ahead in the dark. Lit by nothing. I've been waiting. You left me down here. Don't you remember? Another her. Another face. Another lie. I don't know you, Mara said, voice steady. The thing hissed. Then let me remind you. The cellar walls weren't stone, at least not anymore. The deeper Mara went, the more the walls looked like they had been carved by hand. Symbols adorned them. Not written, scratched. With fingernails. She recognized them. The same marks from the attic, the same ones in the journal. Protection runes, or warnings. Ahead, the shape with her face stepped back, retreating into the dark. "I remember you now," it said. It smiled wider than a mouth should stretch. "You came here once before." "No," Mara whispered. "That's not possible. You were younger. Smaller. You called me Daddy." Mara froze. "You died," she said. "He died in this place. You're not him." The thing laughed. "I never said I was your father." She found a quarter hidden behind a loose wall plank. The tunnel beyond sloped downward, the air turning damp and metallic. At the end was a room with 7 mirrors. Each reflected her, except they didn't. They reflected different versions of her. One Mara stood in a burned dress. Another had black eyes. A third wept blood. All of them looked at her. And smiled. "You brought us back," they said in unison. "The moment you opened the book." "I didn't," she began. "But you did," they interrupted. "The lamplight burns through time. Through self. We waited here. In the in-between." Mara tried to leave. The mirrors rippled. The final journal page, the one hidden beneath the suitcase lining, was dated differently. February 12th. Today's date. Mara. If you're reading this, it means the cottage has chosen you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. Sorry I left you there. You are Eliza? No. That couldn't be true. But the face in the mirror had her smile. The attic journal was signed EV. Mara dropped the page, heart spiraling. "Who am I?" she whispered. The voice behind her answered. "Whoever the light remembers." She ran outside. The fog parted, not from wind, but in obedience. Something stepped through it. The man from the station. But now, he wore her face. "Give it back," she said, voice raw. "I didn't take it," the lamplighter said. "You gave it. When you forgot. When you ran." He walked to the lamp, placed one hand on the iron post. The flame dimmed. "I'm only the caretaker," he said. "But you are the light." Mara collapsed, the ground beneath her humming. Memories she didn't own flooded in. Running through the woods. Locking the attic door. Holding a journal. Eliza was her real name. And she had been here before. To escape, she had to extinguish the lamp. But to do that, she'd have to go where the flame was born. She followed the lamplighter into the forest, down a path only visible when she didn't look directly at it. They arrived at a clearing of blackened earth. In its center, a stone altar. Upon it, 7 candles, each the same as the mirrors. "These are yourselves," he said. "Kill them, and you are free. Let them burn, and you become me." The candles lit themselves. The first melted. And somewhere far away, a mirror shattered. In the woods grew a tree with crimson bark. At its base were dolls, wooden ones with sewn mouths. One wore a dress Mara recognized from an old photo. It was hers. From her 6th birthday. The lamplighter handed her a knife. "If you want your name back, carve it into the bark. But be sure it's the right one." Mara hesitated. Eliza. Mara. Varnell. None of them felt real now. She carved anyway. As she finished the M, the tree bled. And the dolls opened their mouths. Back at the cottage, every light was out. Inside, the furniture was gone. The walls were bare. Only the hospital chair remained, spinning slowly in the attic. On it sat a photograph. Of her. And someone behind her. Tall. Shadowed. Smiling. She had no memory of it being taken. But it was dated. Tomorrow. The mirror in the hallway cracked open, no longer just broken, but split down the middle. From it, the voice came again. "Tell me your name," it asked, softer this time. But Mara knew better now. She didn't speak. She walked forward instead. Into the mirror. On the other side was the same cottage, but reversed. Everything backward. The journal written right to left. The lamp flickering in an unnatural rhythm. And at the window, she saw a girl. Watching her. Her own face. Younger. Afraid. "Eliza?" Mara whispered. The girl nodded. "You left me here. I didn't know. You forgot. But I didn't." The lamplighter entered behind her. "I told you," he said. "You are the light. And now, the lamp needs fuel." He held out the poker. "You can leave," he said, "but someone else must stay." Mara looked at the girl. At herself. Why me? He smiled. Because you're the only one who ever came back. Mara turned to the mirror. It shimmered. Her escape. She took the poker and placed it in the lamplighter's hand. I choose her, she whispered. The child screamed. The mirror sealed behind her. She was home. Or so she thought, until she saw her reflection. It wasn't her anymore. It was him. And he smiled. Mara's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the reflection. Not herself. The lamplighter's pale, hollow-eyed visage grinned back. She stumbled backward, knocking over the candle holder. Flames leapt, licking the walls, casting monstrous shadows. Outside, the fog swirled faster, more violently, as if it were responding to the change. The child, Eliza, stood behind her in the room, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. It's your turn now, the lamplighter said through Mara's lips. Mara tried to scream, but the sound that came was not hers. Her mind fought the new presence clawing to take control. The fog pressed against the windows with renewed hunger. Voices whispered in the mist, names, pleas, curses. They called for Mara. For Eliza. For the lamplighter. And for something else. Something older. Mara's hands shook as she reached for the journal. The pages flipped wildly until they stopped on a final passage. The light passes, but the darkness remains. A cycle unbroken. She realized then, the lamplighter was no mere spirit. He was a curse. A wound in time. And Mara was both his prisoner, and his successor. Deep in the attic, Mara found a door she hadn't noticed before. It was small, like a child's door, painted black. She opened it. Inside was a room filled with clocks. Hundreds of clocks, all ticking backward. At the center stood a mirror, but this one reflected the future. She saw herself, older, fading. The lamplighter beside her, smiling wider. And beyond, the cottage burning to ash. The clock's ticking grew louder, echoing in her skull. Eliza tugged at her sleeve, begging her to choose. Stay, and become the lamplighter forever. Or leave, and let Eliza take her place. Mara's heart broke as she realized the cycle would never end. She whispered one word, no. The mirror cracked. Light flooded the room. Mara grabbed Eliza's hand and ran. The fog screamed behind them as the cottage began to shake. Outside, the lamp sputtered and died. The fog thinned. The sun rose for the first time in days. But as Mara and Eliza reached the village, they found it abandoned. Empty houses, silent streets. And a single note pinned to the town square door, the light has moved on, but the darkness waits. Mara and Eliza stood in silence. The fog was gone. But so was everyone. The cottage had disappeared. And Mara knew, deep inside, this was only the beginning. Because the darkness doesn't die. It waits. Mara and Eliza stepped cautiously into the village square. The buildings stood silent, windows like dark eyes staring emptily back at them. No sign of life. No birdsong. Only the soft crunch of their footsteps on the cracked cobblestones. Where is everyone? Eliza whispered. Mara swallowed hard. I don't know. But it's like time stopped here. Suddenly, a chill brushed past them, a cold gust that whispered a name. Eliza. The sound came from the old well at the center of the square. Mara approached the well, heart pounding. Peering into the darkness, she saw nothing but black water. A splash echoed below. Eliza tugged her hand. Don't. But Mara leaned closer. Something glimmered at the bottom. A small, silver locket. She fished it out carefully. Inside, a faded photo of a little girl, her. And a note, find me before the darkness does. Mara knew the village was a trap, but there was only one way forward. She and Eliza found a hidden path behind the crumbling church. It wound through twisted trees, thick with fog and shadows. The deeper they went, the heavier the air became. Whispers echoed all around, speaking in a language Mara almost understood. You belong here. You always have. The woods seemed alive. Branches curled like fingers, leaves rustled with unseen voices. Eliza clung tightly to Mara, eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, a figure stepped from the shadows. A woman, pale and translucent, with hollow eyes. Mother, Eliza gasped. Mara's blood ran cold. The woman smiled. You can't run from the past. The woman's voice was like the wind. I am the one who bound you all here, she said. The lamplighter is only a mask. The real darkness is the curse she placed on this land long ago. Mara felt a crushing weight. You are tied to this place because you are her blood. Eliza looked up at Mara, trembling. You mean, we're family? Mara nodded slowly. The woman's smile widened. Yes. And the curse will never end unless one of you breaks it. Tell me how, Mara demanded. The woman gestured to the sky, where the sun was setting. Before the next lamplight, you must burn the roots of the blood tree. Mara and Eliza raced back to the woods. The blood tree stood tall, its crimson bark glowing faintly in the twilight. The dolls at its base were still there, their sewn mouths twitching. Mara raised a torch. Ready? She asked Eliza. Eliza nodded. Together, they set the bark ablaze. The fire spread quickly, engulfing the tree in a fierce blaze. The dolls began to scream, tiny, piercing cries that echoed through the forest. The ground shook. For a moment, Mara thought the curse was breaking. Then, the flames died out. The tree stood blackened, but still alive. A voice whispered from the shadows. You think burning the tree will free you? From the darkness emerged the lamplighter, no longer wearing Mara's face, but something far worse, twisted, monstrous. The darkness isn't in the tree. It's inside you. Mara raised the poker, ready to fight. Eliza hid behind her. The lamplighter lunged. Mara dodged, swinging the poker. The creature hissed and advanced. They fought through the night, shadows twisting and bending. As dawn approached, Mara landed a blow, and the lamplighter stumbled. But as he fell, he laughed. This isn't over. The sun broke through the trees. Light flooded the forest. The lamplighter vanished into mist. Mara collapsed, exhausted. Eliza hugged her. We're free, she said softly. But Mara knew better. The darkness had only retreated. Back in the village, Mara looked at the sunrise. She knew the curse was tied to her bloodline. But she also knew she had the power to fight it. The cottage might be gone. The lamplighter might be gone. But the story wasn't over. On her doorstep lay a letter. No handwriting. No stamp. Just one line inside, the lamp never truly dies. Mara looked up at the horizon. Behind the clouds, a faint glow flickered, like a distant lamplight. And somewhere, deep in the forest, something watched. Waiting. Mara sat on the worn wooden steps of what used to be her doorstep, clutching the letter tightly. The paper was fragile, almost translucent, and the words seemed to shimmer faintly as if alive. The lamp never truly dies. Her breath fogged the cold evening air as she looked toward the distant tree line. The faint flicker of a lamplight danced just beyond the edge of the forest, a pulse of warm orange in the creeping dusk. Eliza tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide. Do you think it's him? The lamplighter? Mara swallowed hard, forcing calm into her voice. I don't know, Eliza. But whatever it is, it's waiting for us. She stood, brushing dirt from her jeans. The village was silent, empty, but alive in a strange way. The shadows moved just beyond the reach of the remaining light. Every rustle, every whisper made her heart hammer faster. We have to be ready, Mara said, voice steady despite the cold knot tightening in her stomach. If the lamplight is back, so is the curse. Eliza looked up, clutching a small wooden doll, the same kind they had found near the blood tree, its sewn mouth frayed and tangled. What if it wants me this time? Mara pulled her close. We'll face it together. I promise. The next morning, Mara and Eliza ventured toward the village square again. Despite the unsettling emptiness, Mara felt drawn to the old church ruins, where the heavy wooden door had been left ajar like a silent invitation. Inside, the cold stone walls echoed with the faint dripping of water. The altar was cracked, stained with what looked like old rust and dried blood. Light filtered through broken stained glass, casting fractured rainbows that jittered unnaturally across the floor. Suddenly, a rasping cough broke the silence. Mara spun around. In the far corner, hunched and wrapped in tattered shawls, sat an old woman. Her eyes were sharp and bright beneath a veil of white hair. She beckoned Mara closer with a crooked finger. You shouldn't be here, the woman whispered, voice like brittle leaves scraping stone. Who are you? Mara asked, stepping cautiously forward. Someone who remembers, the woman said. The lamplight comes again. And you carry its flame. Eliza peeked from behind Mara, clutching her hand. The curse, the woman continued, is older than the village. It feeds on blood and light, on the memories you want to forget. Mara swallowed, the weight of the woman's words settling deep in her bones. How do we stop it? Mara asked, desperation creeping into her voice. The old woman smiled, a thin, knowing curl of lips. You don't. But maybe. You can survive it. That night, Mara dreamt of the lamplighter. He stood in a vast field, under a blood-red moon, the flickering lamp in his hand casting long, unnatural shadows. His smile was calm, almost tender, but his eyes held an abyss. "Why do you fight me?" he asked, voice like the wind over dry leaves. "Because I have to," Mara replied, voice steady despite the chill creeping over her skin. The lamplighter's eyes softened. "We are bound, you and I. I am the darkness you fear, but also the light you carry. Without me, you are lost." A figure appeared behind him, Eliza, her face pale and sad. "Will you choose the light? Or the shadow?" he whispered, stepping closer. Mara woke, heart pounding. Eliza was staring at her, eyes wide. "Did you see him?" "I did," Mara whispered. "And I think the choice isn't mine alone." Days passed in uneasy silence. The fog rolled in thick again, swallowing the village in cold gray. Mara noticed the changes first, whispers echoing through the empty streets, shadows flickering just beyond sight, the air growing heavier with dread. Eliza became quieter, clutching the doll tighter, her nights haunted by restless dreams. One evening, Mara found her standing by the village well, gazing into its dark depths. "What do you see?" Mara asked gently. Eliza didn't answer. "I think the lamplighter waits there," she finally whispered. "Waiting for the right moment." Mara nodded, the knot in her chest tightening. "We need to be ready," she said. "No matter what comes." Part 55, Into the Heart of Darkness. On the third night, Mara gathered what little strength she had left and set out into the woods. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. The flickering lamplight appeared again, bobbing between the twisted trees like a restless spirit. Mara followed it deeper than ever before, until she reached a clearing she had never seen, the heart of the forest. In its center stood a black stone altar, etched with ancient runes glowing faintly in the moonlight. The lamplighter awaited her there, his face an unreadable mask of shadow and light. "Come," he said, voice both a command and a plea. Mara stepped forward, feeling the cold bite of the night air and the heavier weight of destiny pressing down on her. The cold air wrapped around Mara like a shroud as she stepped into the clearing. The black stone altar stood ominous and ancient, its runes pulsing with a dull, otherworldly light. The flickering lamplight hovered just above it, casting long, twisting shadows that danced like specters in the cold breeze. The lamplighter himself was there, tall, impossibly thin, with eyes that glowed faintly red beneath a shadowed hood. His presence sucked the warmth from the night, and Mara felt a bone-deep chill settle in her soul. "Why have you come?" His voice was low and measured, yet carried the weight of countless centuries. "To end it," Mara said, raising her voice despite the trembling in her limbs. "To break this curse, once and for all." He laughed, a sound like cracking ice. "You misunderstand. This curse is no prison, it is a legacy. The flame you carry is both your burden and your birthright." Behind Mara, the fog thickened. Eliza appeared at the edge of the clearing, clutching the wooden doll, her small face pale but determined. "I won't let you take her," Mara said, stepping protectively in front of the child. The lamplighter's eyes flicked to Eliza, then back to Mara. "So be it." Suddenly, the lamplight flared, blindingly bright, and the runes on the altar blazed with fiery red light. Mara felt heat rise within her chest, a fierce, burning energy that was hers and yet not hers. She stepped forward, placing her hands on the altar. Images flashed in her mind, the history of the village, the bloodline of lamplighters, the endless cycle of light and shadow, hope and despair. She understood then, the curse was not just a chain to break, but a fire to be tamed. With a roar that echoed through the night, Mara lifted the flaming poker high and drove it into the altar. The ground shook violently, the fog recoiling like a wounded beast. A scream pierced the night, anguished, desperate. The lamplighter staggered, his form flickering like a dying flame. "Your light is strong," he hissed. "But the darkness never truly dies." As the altar exploded into a cascade of brilliant sparks, Mara collapsed, the warmth flooding through her veins. When she opened her eyes, Eliza was beside her, smiling, a pure, shining smile that chased away the shadows. For a moment, the world was still. Then, from the edge of the forest, a faint flicker, a lamplight, glowed again. And Mara knew. The story was far from over. The dawn broke slowly over the village, casting pale light on empty streets and broken windows. Mara and Eliza stood hand in hand at the edge of the forest, watching as the first rays chased away the fog. The altar's blaze had vanished, leaving behind only scorched earth and silence. Mara's heart was heavy but steady, she felt the weight of what she had done and what was yet to come. Eliza looked up at her. "Are we safe now?" Mara smiled softly, brushing a stray strand of hair from Eliza's face. For now. But some lights never truly go out. As they turned to leave, Mara caught sight of the faintest glow flickering far behind the trees, the same small lamplight that had haunted their journey. She knew that light was a warning, a reminder, a promise. The curse had been challenged but not destroyed. And somewhere, waiting in the shadows, the lamplighter watched, patient, eternal, and ready. Mara took a deep breath and whispered into the morning breeze, "We'll be ready." The lamplight flickered once more, and then disappeared into the rising sun. The sun climbed higher, burning away the last wisps of fog, but the village remained silent. The houses, once full of life, now stood like empty shells, their windows hollow eyes staring into nothingness. Mara and Eliza moved cautiously through the streets, their footsteps echoing in the strange stillness. "Do you think anyone will come back?" Eliza asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mara shook her head, eyes scanning every corner. "I don't know. But we can't stay here waiting." They stopped at the old town square, where the note still hung on the massive oak door, "The light has moved on, but the darkness waits." Mara felt the weight of those words more keenly than ever. The darkness was patient. It could wait lifetimes. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept past, carrying with it a faint, unmistakable scent, burning oil and smoke. "It's him," Mara breathed. From the edge of the square, a figure emerged, cloaked and shadowed, carrying a lamp that flickered with unnatural light. The lamplighter had returned. The lamplighter's footsteps were silent but ominous as he approached. "Eliza," he said softly, voice like a whisper through dry leaves. "You belong to the light. You are the flame that must burn." Mara stepped forward, placing herself between the lamplighter and Eliza. "No," she said firmly. "You won't take her." The lamplighter smiled, a sad, almost tender expression. "I don't take. I guide. We are part of the same fire." Eliza clutched Mara's hand, eyes wide with confusion and fear. "Why?" she asked the lamplighter. "Why do you want us?" "Because without the light, the darkness consumes. And without the darkness, the light cannot shine." Mara realized then, the lamplighter was neither villain nor savior but a force of balance. But the cost of that balance was endless sacrifice. The lamplighter extended the lamp toward Eliza. A gentle warmth radiated from it. "Will you join me?" he asked. "Become the flame that guides others through the dark?" Eliza hesitated. Mara squeezed her hand. "It's your choice." Eliza looked up, eyes shimmering with tears and determination. I want to be free." The lamplighter nodded. "Then the cycle must be broken." He reached into the lamp, pulling out a small, glowing seed, the heart of the bloodline's curse. "Plant this in the earth where the first light fell," he instructed. "Only then will the cycle end." Together, Mara and Eliza walked to the edge of the forest, where the first lamplight had appeared centuries ago. Eliza knelt, pressing the glowing seed into the soil. The earth trembled beneath them. Roots burst forth, intertwining with the ground like veins. A brilliant light erupted, flooding the forest and village in warmth. The fog lifted completely. For the first time, silence was filled not with dread but with hope. Days passed. The village began to stir. Birds returned. Windows gleamed with sunlight. Mara and Eliza watched from the hilltop, the lamp's glow now faint but steady, a beacon of peace. The curse was broken. Or so they believed. On a quiet evening, Mara found the journal again. A final note, written in the lamplighter's hand, appeared on the last page. "Light will always chase the dark, but the dark waits patiently for its time." Outside, the wind whispered through the trees. And in the distance, a single lamplight flickered, just beyond sight. Mara and Eliza stood atop the hill overlooking the village, their breaths visible in the chilly morning air. The sun's first rays painted the rooftops with soft gold, yet a lingering shadow clung to the trees at the forest's edge, twisting and writhing like restless spirits. "Eliza," Mara said quietly, "we've seen the curse fade, but that light in the forest, it's not just a flicker. It's something more." Eliza nodded, her fingers wrapped tightly around a wooden doll. "It's like it's watching us." Together, they descended the hill and ventured into the whispering woods, the very air thick with a hum of voices just beyond hearing. The trees seemed to lean closer, their gnarled branches brushing against each other in silent communication. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Mara stumbled, steadying herself on a twisted root. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in tattered robes, neither fully human nor ghost. Its eyes glowed with a strange silver light. "Who's there?" Mara demanded, stepping protectively in front of Eliza. The figure lifted a bony hand, and a voice rasped through the trees like a forgotten wind. "I am the keeper of the forgotten, guardian of those lost between light and dark." Eliza's eyes widened. "Are you here to help us?" The figure's lips curled into a thin smile. "Perhaps. But first, you must understand the true nature of the flame you carry." The keeper led them deeper into the forest, through winding paths tangled with roots and hidden shadows. Finally, they reached a clearing where the ground split open, revealing an ancient cavern glowing with eerie blue light. "This is the heart of the forest," the keeper explained. "Here lies the origin of the curse, and the key to its undoing." Mara peered into the cavern. At its center, a pulsating orb of light hovered, entangled in black tendrils that writhed like serpents. "Why is it trapped?" Eliza asked. "Because the flame and the shadow are bound," the keeper said solemnly. "Release one without the other, and darkness will consume the world." Mara clenched her fists. "Then how do we free the village, and ourselves?" The keeper's eyes gleamed. "You must choose. Embrace the light and bind the shadow forever, or accept the darkness and let the flame burn out." Eliza's voice trembled. "Can we have both?" The keeper shook their head slowly. "Balance is impossible here. Only sacrifice remains." Mara and Eliza sat by the cavern's edge, the glow casting long shadows over their faces. The weight of the keeper's words pressed down on them like a suffocating fog. "What if we're wrong?" Mara whispered. "What if trying to break the curse only makes it worse?" Eliza looked up, her young face resolute despite the fear in her eyes. "We can't give up now. Not after everything." Suddenly, the cavern trembled violently. The orb pulsed brighter, and the black tendrils writhed in agony. Mara rose, heart pounding. "The curse is fighting back." The keeper's voice echoed around them. "Your choice must be made before the next sunset." Mara grasped Eliza's hand. "Then we decide now. Together." As the sun began its slow descent, Mara and Eliza prepared the ritual beneath the ancient trees surrounding the cavern. The air was thick with anticipation, the forest alive with unseen eyes watching, waiting. They gathered sacred herbs and carved symbols into the earth, weaving a circle of salt and light around the glowing orb. Eliza's voice trembled as she began the chant taught by the keeper, words ancient and powerful. Mara added her own, steady and strong. The orb pulsed in response, its black tendrils recoiling as the ritual's power grew. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. From the darkness, the lamplighter emerged, his face a mask of fury and sorrow. "You cannot undo what has existed since the dawn of time," he snarled. Mara stood firm. "We're not undoing it. We're choosing a new path." The battle between light and shadow exploded around them, blinding flashes of flame, chilling waves of darkness. Mara and Eliza fought side by side, their voices blending with the ancient chant. As the last rays of sun slipped below the horizon, a blinding light erupted from the orb, engulfing the clearing in radiant warmth. The lamplighter screamed, his form unraveling like smoke in the wind. When the light faded, Mara and Eliza found themselves alone. The orb transformed into a gentle flame flickering softly in Eliza's palm. The forest was silent, peaceful. "You did it," the keeper's voice whispered in the breeze. "Balance has been restored, but at a price." Mara looked at Eliza, tears streaming down both their faces. "We chose the light," Mara said softly. Eliza nodded, clutching the flame tightly. But as they turned to leave, Mara noticed a faint shadow flickering just beyond the trees, a reminder that darkness never truly dies.